Some people moan at me in the comments of this channel regarding me always picking on plod, which is interesting considering the name of the channel. Kind of gives away the type of content before you watch any of the videos, do you not think? But still, some of these people still think the police are the upstanding members of society that they was expected them to be. So I guess I shouldn't be surprised that they can't work out the type of content from the channel based on the channel name. But today I have something to potentially appease you. Today I have an ambulance responding to an emergency call who drove through red lights and crashed with another vehicle. However, don't think just because of what you hear about police doing the same here on the channel that I will be lambasting the ambulance driver quite as much. Although I might, because they are partly to blame. An ambulance was heading along Mount Pleasant in Hull in full emergency mode when it overtook a vehicle at the traffic lights of Mount Pleasant Junction, a junction that you'll see from the video in a moment that has plenty of visibility. Now the ambulance does appear to slow down a little bit as it overtakes the vehicle before entering the junction and making its way across, before a vehicle from the left zips straight through and ends up getting T-boned by the ambulance. What's interesting here, to me at least, is that not a single person seems fazed by the accident. Nobody gets out of their cars, no cyclists making their way over to see if they're all okay. Literally acting as if it's not even just happened right in front of them. Humberside Police did confirm that one person had suffered minor injuries during the crash, but didn't say if it was the occupant from the car or from the ambulance. The accident is said to have caused long delays and traffic was diverted for an hour while emergency services removed the car and ambulance from the scene. Apparently 3 fire engines attended, along with Humberside Police and Yorkshire Ambulance Service, who were already on the scene. An eyewitness said an ambulance with flashing lights and looking like it was on a 999 call has been involved in the crash. The front of the bonnet is all crushed up and it's being taken away. A Humberside Police spokesperson said, "We were called at around 4 PM on Monday following reports of a collision involving 2 vehicles on Mount Pleasant in Hull. One person reportedly suffered minor injuries." In a statement from Yorkshire Ambulance Service, they said, "We deployed emergency resources to the scene and also dispatched another crew to the original emergency. One patient was conveyed to hospital to be checked over." Now I've got to be fair, with so much visibility at that junction, this should never even have happened if everyone was paying attention to the road, which is what they should have been doing. At the junction, on the left, it appears that 2 cars were stopping, which could mean the lights were or had changed, but the black vehicle looks like it thought it would try its luck and jump the lights. Although it could just as easily be that the cars that were stopped were at a filter lane, but the car does speed across. So I have to blame the driver of the car for their part in their collision. But, and this doesn't just apply here, but also applies to the other videos where I talk about police being involved in collisions. The ambulance driver, especially in this case having a higher up seating position, should have had their head on a swivel when crossing a junction that's on red lights. When I drive through a junction on green lights, I always check left and right, even if the lane is on green, because there are some idiots out there who don't bother looking at all. But I would be more careful if I was going through a red light, even if that meant slowing to a crawl until I'm at least halfway across before putting my foot down again. So for that reason, I also have to blame the ambo driver, as although he did slow a teeny tiny bit, they clearly assumed that their blue lights gave them some kind of superpower. To me, this, although an ambulance and not a police car, shows the arrogance of some blue light drivers who simply assume they own the road because their blues and twos are going. The ambo driver should have seen the vehicle approaching at speed and acted appropriately, as in slowed down more or stopped, whether you're on emergency call or not. Now, I know this isn't the most interesting or exciting video that I've ever published, but I think, as I say, it highlights something important. Firstly, I won't just pick on police drivers. It's just that they are the ones that tend to have the most crashes. But also by the fact the ambulance didn't even hit its brakes shows how they were not paying the correct amount of attention to the road around them. And this is why accidents occur, generally, is because people aren't observing. So when you're driving an emergency vehicle, you should be more observant. And it's unlikely to solely be the fault of the vehicle that crashes into them or gets crashed into, as any competent driver should know you should be surveying your surroundings constantly for hazards. And if you're driving an emergency vehicle and you are allowed to speed and go through red lights and break other road traffic rules, then you should be more observant. You should be an advanced driver, as far as I'm concerned. And many accidents that occur involving blue light drivers, the blame, in my opinion, should be on the blue light driver. They should be more observant. They should be paying more attention to the road and to the surroundings and to the hazards. They are the ones that are putting people at risk by being able to break the road traffic rules. Yes, we get the odd prick, like in this video, that appeared to break road traffic rules by speeding across the junction. But the ambulance driver, higher up seating position, in a situation where they're allowed to break other road rules, should, in my opinion, bear far more responsibility for any accidents that occur. Again, that's my opinion. You may be a blue light driver yourself and you may not agree with that. Tough. You can air your grievances in the comments below. But as far as I'm concerned, if you're given the privilege of being able to break certain rules, you have the obligation to make sure other people are kept safe whilst you're breaking those rules.